7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
The Savachi syndrome, I'm telling you, I'm
like, well, holy shit, that was crazy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Moto Aftermath Show. Back in studio here. Justin decided to show up today. Everything's golden. We are wrapping up Daytona, which was awesome.
Crazy.
Great year. But let's get all of the boring stuff out of the way. So, like I said, another episode of the Moto Aftermath Show presented by TLR Coatings. Make sure to check them out. I will link them in the description below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. Tell them to subscribe. We need all the subscribers we can get at this point. Also, you can follow us on Facebook. We are doing a Thursday show preview for the upcoming race weekend. I did it solo this week.
Hey man, I had stuff going on.
I did it solo this week. It was great. Go check it out on the Facebook page. Page is called Moto Aftermath Show. I will link that down below also. Also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, at Travis Ridenauer, it's down here. And I post pictures of pretty much whatever. That's the one page I don't really use for anything special. I just post whatever pretty much I want on it. So you may see Disney World pictures, food pictures, dirt bike pictures, bicycle frames. You never know. And then if you want to support the show, there's Amazon links in the description. If you click on one of those and go on there and buy anything on Amazon, all you got to do is click into the link, and then once that pulls up the Amazon page, you can go wherever you want on Amazon through that. We get a small slice of that. If you want to donate on Patreon, I will link that down below. I will send you some cool stuff. No one's donated yet, so I'm still waiting. Haven't said anything cool yet, but somebody probably at some point. Or if you want to get a t-shirt, we have t-shirts on Teespring. I will link that in the description below. And thanks to the guy that bought one already. We have sold one that I know of. So, can't remember your name, but whoever you are, thank you.
He's from Guatemala.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
So anyway, let's jump in. Daytona wrap-up show here. Track was old school Daytona, gnarly. I said it in the previous show on Thursday. Your thoughts?
It was gnarly. I mean, they definitely they did go old school, as they kind of alluded to at the beginning of the show. Normally when you come to Daytona, it's got the clay base underneath and really loose on top. Well, they definitely added in a lot more beach sand this year. The corners were a lot looser. The transitions going into the corners were a lot deeper. You got a ton of pockets and rounded edge braking bumps. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it was more outdoor in the sense of the soil that they brought in, but it was one of the most, and I hate using this word, so supercrossy but technical Daytona tracks we've seen in a while. You know, the far side rhythm section after the on-off, that 353 before the Dragon's back. And it was interesting with all the little moguls, which I'm surprised, and we'll get into it with the 450, but it didn't benefit a guy like Jason Anderson more, who uses his legs. It was one of those things where you had to keep your momentum going. You couldn't brake into it like a normal braking bump and stuff because you couldn't get the drive. So you kind of had to manual over, stretch, and wheel tap. But you couldn't just plow into the face and absorb it because then you G out into the face. So I liked it. I mean, it definitely kept everybody on their toes. We know normal soft face on top, or soft base on top. It got deep ruts all the way through. Yeah, you know, and it claimed a few people. I thought it was going to claim more, but I like the flow. I didn't like the transitions into the corners, though. It's hard when you come out of a tight 180 and then you shift your weight and you're trying to get the front end to plant, and then you're into deep sand where you're trying to roll into it, keep the bike planted to keep it from drifting, but then you bury it. And then as soon as you get the bike planted, you're into the corner, you're braking. So I think that's why we got a lot of those pockets and stuff rolling in, because the bike really wasn't planted coming in. But other than that, I loved it. I loved it.
I thought it was great. Super long straightaways, you know, with just switchback 180s at the end of them, bull turns everywhere, which was great.
Yep.
And lots of jumps. I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot I can say. Even that even that turn where they kind of did the chicane going across the start straight. Yeah. Even that came into play because that was kind of like they put that little roller on the inside line, and it was neat. It was very sandy too.
And you had to be
because
precise.
They talked about it all day how they didn't put as much clay in it as they normally do, which was cool. So it broke down. So yeah, overall I thought it was a great track.
The only thing I didn't like, the only part of the track I didn't like, and it wasn't even really a Dragon's Back. It was like an upside staircase to downside. Was before the finish.
You didn't like that?
No, I didn't. I like it because it separates it, but it's very sketchy when you're coming off a Dragon's Back that the face is that soft with it just dropping off the backside instead of being connected. And we almost saw it a couple times with J-Mart where he tagged it with a rear wheel.
Yeah.
It's very sketchy in that sense when you're battling with somebody. If you're by yourself, it's not that big of a deal. We saw everybody kind of bang up and then bang down, or a couple guys kind of like threed up it. It's kind of unsafe sometimes when you're racing somebody. I liked it because it separated. It made you think, and you had to be constantly on your toes. But I've seen where they've done that in years past with different tracks, and it's gotten people hurt before. But other than that, I loved it. It was the best track we've seen in a while for Daytona.
Yeah, so. It was. In the, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is now that I've been back.
And since Ricky's been on them.
It was great. So, anything else about the track before we move on? Okay, let's get to the racing action. All right, 450s, big boards. Yes. Great night. Great night. Was. Action-packed the whole way through.
Well, you know what was weird, too, is that it really wasn't even the racing was that great in the 450 class. It's just there was so much stuff going on that had to do with, with points and, obviously with Brayton and other things. Because let's be real. There wasn't, like I said, there wasn't a lot of battles going on. No. It was just, there was a lot of, different storylines.
Yes.
So.
Well, and it started heat race. Let's talk about this first. Eli and Coop coming together. You and I have been battling back and forth.
We have difference of
this morning on this one. So why don't you go ahead and give your opinion? I'll give my opinion, and then that way in the comments they can tell us their opinion.
Well, I can guarantee you that probably people are going to troll me a little bit more because I feel like we have a little bit more people that watch this show that are Eli fans. Then again, Coop hasn't really done great, so it's not like he has a lot of fans to begin with. Okay, so I've said the whole entire time, I have not disputed that Coop did not cross over on him. He straight up did. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the way I look at it is that if I'm going to say what I said about the Forkner and Zacho thing, even though it was a different situation, I'm going to give Forkner the benefit of the doubt because Zacho went down. Coop, first rhythm section, on-off, he did cross over on him. But I need to see a different angle. The side of Coop's chassis and then watching him fade over, I need to see a different side, whether it was the front, the back, if we could get a GoPro somehow, but obviously they don't wear GoPros, so it doesn't matter. I need to see it for it to be this egregious thing that everybody's talking about because, to me, I've always seen it this way because I grew up with 90s racing where people literally did just cross-jump on people and they didn't care. It's a lot worse. I feel the guys have gotten a little soft these days. There's a difference between moving over on somebody where you lean on them and make them think about it comparing to literally crossing over, hence the word cross, and take their line away. Coop, there's no way he completely crossed over on Eli because Eli, even though he did check up after the finish, wouldn't have been able to just stay in it and still go 3-3 or 3-2-1 or whatever he did in that section. He still hit the fast line. Yes. Did Coop lean on him and make him think about it? Of course. But also to your point, you were talking about with, well, if you do that, it's sketchy because you don't know what that guy's doing. You don't know what he's going to anticipate that you're going to do. Check him in the rut. Well, also, if Coop's blatantly just going to cross over on him, he's also putting himself at risk because he's coming in at an angle. So, yes, Coop did cross over on Eli, but I need to see a different angle. Now, if I see a different angle come out this week from behind, which I don't know if there was anybody following on the Rhino, that where it looks like Coop literally just, it looks like he was trying to get in front of him, make Eli completely check up, then I'll say, you know what? Coop was a moron. He took it too far. And then obviously we've seen what happened in the heat race. And, I don't believe in karma, but karma sucks. Coop got taken out, whatever. But then everybody's like, oh, Coop shouldn't have stood on Eli's bike. Dude, if I'm Coop and you do that to me, even though what I just did to you, we're fair game at this point. We're even. Because to me, and it's not really a motocross saying, but to me, the reaction to an action is always worse than the intention. Like, if you were me and riding, and I have the intention of taking you out, but I don't, then my intention wasn't as bad as the actual reaction of what my action was going to be. Now, if Eli goes down, then you know what? Coop, no, there's no excuses. That was uncalled for. You're not only putting yourself at risk, but Eli at risk. But I have a different opinion on it. I want to see a different angle.
See, and that's where I get into this. I don't know what angle you want to see. I watched the race again this morning because we were arguing about this, and I was like, all right, maybe I saw something wrong, or I didn't see something, and I thought I saw it, but I want to see it. Dude, you can clearly watch. They come out of the corner. Eli goes inside. Coop takes the closest route to the outside.
Yep.
So he is complete left. Eli's complete right. By the time they get to the Dragon's back, Coop is complete right in front of Eli. Complete right. So he crosses all the way over. Now, Eli is smart enough, after seeing last week probably, obviously, that he knows, he sees it, and he checks up a little bit. So it's not as close as, obviously, last week with Faulkner and Osborne. But still, Coop clearly goes, because I watched the rest of the race, too, especially the heat races, to see, like, okay, were guys going one side to the other or something, you know? Maybe that was the line. Maybe that was how the line was going. No, if you were outside at far left, you stayed left. If you were inside, you pretty much stayed right. There were guys going in the center, but there was a center rut that came out in the corner too. So it pretty much, that whole straight, wherever you were, that was where you stayed. The whole straight. And Coop didn't do that. Coop did not do that. He went all the way far left to far right. Eli was smart, like I said, checked up. It did seem to get kind of close going over the Dragon's back thing. Or whatever it was, right before the wall. So it was kind of close there. But then Eli switched over. But then you could watch Coop move back over. Yeah. And then goes completely outside in the corner after that straight. And that's when Eli comes up, takes him out. So I don't blame Eli at all. I wish he would have made the move happen. Because as far as I'm concerned, Coop deserved it. Yep. You know? And like you said this morning, you made the point. I'm also a Coop guy. And yes, I do like him. But as I've told you before, the crossing over thing pisses me off. Like, if you go in like Tomac did last night, you clean out his front end and you're gone, whatever. Those kind of don't care about cleaning somebody out in a corner. But the jumping thing is a whole different level in my opinion. And this is coming from a racer standpoint of, dude, if somebody crossed over on me, like, and obviously I race shitty amateurs, you know, so people, when they cross over on me, it's usually because they don't know what they're doing. But if I'm racing at that level and you know what you're doing, and obviously in the heat race there were not that many bad ruts that he was crossing over because he was cross-riding him. It was
See, to me, what happened in the main before the Dragon's back was worse. Because Coop literally got straight in front of him, and they were literally front wheel to rear wheel, and then obviously Coop had to check up on the Dragon's back. To me, that's worse. People can say, well, how's that worse? Because you're not in the air. Well, you're literally wide open going into that Dragon's back, and now you literally are in front of him. Like I said, I don't agree. I don't like what Coop did, because I got pissed years ago when Marv was doing that to Coop in the 250 class. I would never condone that because, A, it's dangerous and it's pointless because you take just as good a chance of getting taken out as the other guy. But to me, the situation in the main was worse because he literally got straight in front of him, where if Eli just stayed in it and didn't know that Coop was going to check up, they both go down, and the lapper in front of him gets taken out too. So, you know what? I get it. Eli had all the right in the world to do what he did, but the way I looked at it is that just be above it and wait till the main, because in the heat race it was pointless.
It was a little strange because he was super calm up until that point with Coop going anywhere he wanted to go, and he would stick it in and Coop would stay in front of him, and he was just super calm about it, like he knew he was faster. But then all of a sudden, like, he got, and this is another point to it, is he got cross jump basically, and he got pissed. That was it. So,
and let's be real, if as close as he was, he could have just marked him all the way to the whoop section and he would have gone around him anyway. So yeah, I don't like what Coop did. I'm not going to make it this egregious thing, but also he deserved what he got, and maybe we have another rivalry happening and stuff, and we'll see what happens in St. Louis. But it's obviously shown that neither of them like each other at this point, so they don't care what the other one thinks.
But let's move on and talk about Eli's main was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was good.
Ride of the year at this point.
To this point, yes.
To go from 22nd, and when he crashed, as we watched it before, and I was like, dude, I thought when he crashed in that first corner, or that first lap, I was like, oh, well, here we go. He's going to BS around in 18th, and my bars are bent, my shoulders hurt, my grip fell off, and all this crap like that. And nope, he put in a ride, buddy, a ride.
Well, we knew going in, and you and me and Matt, we all had to, you guys thought Eli was going to just go dominate because he had won 2 in a row. I thought Marv was due for one. But we all know if one track Eli's guaranteed to win, it's Daytona. It's just, he's always been good there. He should have won in 15 when he was manualing through the rollers and stuff. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but Dungy won it that year. We know that's his one track. It's more outdoors, deep ruts, where he can just slam the bike around and let his, let his technique and let his upper body strength do the work. And that's we all knew he was going to be good. I can't take anything away from him. It was great. There was nothing bad about that other than, you could say, well, had he not gone down, he was probably going to win the whole thing.
Yep.
But we also got to look at that there was some stuff going on, and, we kind of just agreed when we were watching it that if everybody was in it, would that have been that great of a ride? Because I don't know if everybody was in it, he gets to second place. Mm-hmm. And you deal with what the cards are dealt and stuff, and, he rode good. It's just, that's his track.
Yep.
Plain and simple. There's nothing else really to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and his night was way better than the next two guys we're going to talk about, the Baker boys here. Ando had a shit night all night. The heat race wasn't really his fault, but then in the main,
Are we just, I know I said it last week on the show and said it in the group text and we talk about it. Are we both in agreement now that this is kind of him just being in protect mode?
Yes.
He's not willing to push, especially at a track like Daytona. Mm-hmm. Because if that happens in St. Louis, you can almost guarantee he gets top 5. Yep. He's just that much better than everybody else outside of the guys that are the same pace as him. But it's Daytona. You can't, it's different. You've been racing Supercross. Your mindset's not in looking at it as, I'm just going to push through these and, I'm going to absorb everything. It's in being patient. Maybe your chassis isn't really as good because you don't get the testing time during the week. So Daytona's not one of those things where if you're not feeling it, you're just going to go balls to the wall and try to push through, quote-unquote, the pain. Mm-hmm. You're just not going to work. And I think he's just in a protect mode. I think he's at the point now, if he feels like he can win, he goes for it. If not, what's the point?
Yep.
He's got 43 or whatever it is now, or 40 or...
Yep. No, I agree with you, but the problem is if he protect modes like that for a few more races, or even a couple more,
mm-hmm.
Where he BS's around in 7th, 8th, 9th, all of a sudden that big points lead is a lot smaller.
I agree. I think a lot of things last night, though, compounded that. The heat race was bad in the main. He got into it with Freeze. Or no, that was it? That was the main one.
Yeah, the main, and I wouldn't say got in. Let's correct.
Well, no, didn't get into it.
We don't want to make Freeze look bad.
He came in too hot, and he hit the back of him and stuff. So who knows, has that not happened? Maybe he gets inside the top 5, because he was in the top 10, I think, when that happened.
Yeah.
So who knows, that set him back maybe 2-3 seconds and stuff. So yeah, it was not a great night for Ando, but once again... we keep talking about when's the shoe going to drop? When is he going to implode? And he didn't implode last night. Mm-hmm. That could have been a typical Anderson race. Everything is getting thrown at him. He's not feeling it. The bike's off. Mentally, his fatigue. And he could have just imploded and tried to force something that wasn't there. And he didn't. So, I think I stand by what I said last week. If he got through Daytona without losing a bunch of points. Well, he didn't even lose any points at this point. The only person he lost to was Eli, And he's still the points leader by a big margin, and he didn't get hurt. I think he's going to go into protect mode, man. I think this is going to be a dungy finish to the season for him.
Probably. Marvin had a rough night, too. The other half of the Baker boys here.
Are we in agreement that if Marv doesn't make the bonehead mistake and land in the mechanics area, that there's no, he sets sails and goes away?
Yeah, probably. Like I thought he was going to.
And see, I picked him to win. I picked him on everything, all the talk, all the fantasy picks. And also, does Eli really even get that close if Marv's out front? Because I don't think so.
I don't know.
Because I think Eli gets third at that point. I think if Marv's out front, I don't know if Eli gets past, if he gets anywhere other than third.
Yeah.
Maybe. Marv had the fastest lap in the heat race, the fastest lap in the main. And then after, obviously, mentally, once he hit the deck twice and stuff, it
was a tear-off, bro.
Yeah, it was a
tear-off on his hand.
No, man, that was just him. He just didn't get the
it was a tear-off.
Yeah.
It was the tear-off.
But I think everybody probably is in agreement, though, that if he doesn't go down twice, he wins that main event.
Yeah, probably. So last couple things I had on here. Craig had a good night for HRC. Good, top 5.
Dude, he can ride that 450. It suits his style.
Like I said, he's doing what he's hired to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically a Josh Grant-esque rider of, we're not hiring you to go out and win. We're hiring you to do as good as you can. Basically, put it in the top 10 and make sure you're in the night show every single week. And that's what he's doing.
And I think that he probably ends up on that 450 for pretty much all of outdoors.
Probably.
I think that Geico, which at this point, if I'm him and, I'm his family, I'm thinking, well, why the hell do I just keep signing these Geico contracts at this point? It's 2 years in a row, and granted, the guys got hurt. But now on to greatest thing of the night, the greatest thing in a long time.
Old guys rule, buddy.
Justin Brayton,
Justin Brayton.
Oh, my God.
Cannot believe he won Daytona.
Okay, so...
I could see him winning a race this year, but Daytona?
Okay, so if you're going through all the guys that you think you can win before A1, and or you're just going through a list of guys and giving them percentage of what track, whether it be the soil or how they usually, and you go to Daytona. Justin Brayton is what? Maybe 5% chance to win,
or
if
less.
that.
Or less.
And he even said it. He's not an outdoor guy. He's not raced the Nationals in like 5 years. He's a precise, smooth, fluid dude, and he's not an outdoor guy. And dude, he goes out and yeah, Marv crashes, but that's part of it. Wins the heat race, leads.
Good start.
Good start. Sprints. I mean, dude.
Yeah.
And even he, we listened to some of the interviews. Eli closed the gap. Brayton was running, what, 215s, 216s, and in the last 2 laps, he drops his lap times by 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, dude, it's just, oh, man, it's incredible. Like, that is the last guy I thought was going to win.
Yep.
Last guy. There's no way.
We talked about it. 7 minutes to go. We're both sitting there going, is he really going to win?
Yeah. Is he really going to win this?
And then by 3 minutes, I'm going, God, I want Tomac to win for my fantasy, but Brayton.
The oldest guy to win a 450 main. Sit on that, Chad Reed.
Chad Reed's just pissed now.
He is just
wicked pissed.
Oh, my God.
No, that was great to watch, man. I had goosebumps. That was awesome.
I know. So on his question, he's 13 points down with 7 races to go. Can Brayton get second overall in the points?
Yeah. The way he's trending. Yeah.
I mean, and how crazy would that be?
Oh, be awesome.
34-year-old dude.
34-year-old dude, right? For Bullfrog, smart concepts.
Smart top concept, Honda thing, Tony Alessi.
Rides for Tony Alessi, Mike Genova.
And crazy thing is, dude, okay, he's been going at this hard for almost 7 months now. He's been going at this hard for almost 7 months now. Riding Supercross, of all things.
He's in his stride, bro. He's in his stride.
And it's
working.
And he at least gets 4th overall, so in the points by the end of the year. So I mean, dude, come on, like that's just, I don't know.
That's impressive.
That's impressive.
So, anything else for the 450 class?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right, we'll move on to the 250s then. More drama. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up.
Well, I got one honorable mention. No, I got one honorable mention. It has nothing to do with Zach or Fortner. One honorable mention.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
So, and I know it's only 4 races in, and it's only the last 2 rounds. He got 7th last week in Tampa and a 6th this week. Did we underrate Kyle Peters a little bit? Got a 7th last week in Tampa and a 6th this week.
Yeah, I guess that is.
And when we did the preview show, I didn't go as far as you. You said something about it'd be cool if you just made the mains. I didn't say much better. I said 15th.
Yeah.
And a 7th and a 6th, and I get it. Nichols got hurt, or Nichols is hurt, Frennis is hurt, RJ, but he still got 7th with everybody there last week. I mean, I think we underrated, didn't give enough credit.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know it's only 2 races, but a 7th and a 6th, like even if you take out those guys, that's still nowhere near what we thought he would get.
No, it's not bad for him.
That's pretty impressive in my opinion. So I want to give him just an honorable mention. I think that's pretty cool.
Someone else honorable mention, I don't know if you paid attention on the broadcast last night, that Fleming kid.
Wilson Fleming?
Yes. Ended up 14th in the main.
Yeah.
Which was surprising because he went through the LCQ.
I
think he looked super impressive, but...
Don't let it fool you, though. They were talking about it. His mom and dad have a lot of money. And he trains at MTF.
Well, I mean, that's fine.
No, they were just saying, though, about coming out of his own pocket. I go, okay, well, wait a minute.
I was just more impressed on his riding.
Oh, yeah. No, he rode great. He's fast. He's a good amateur and stuff.
So, anyway. All right, so... Is that Michael Mosman?
Mike Mosman.
Mike Mosman. Good heat race. Decent showing in the main. The heat race was really impressive to me. That's really why we're talking about him at this point.
Yeah, he got...
For his second pro race ever.
What did he get, second? Did he get 3rd in the heat or 2nd? J-Bar got around him, didn't he?
I think he got 3rd.
And then obviously they red flagged it because of RJ.
Yeah, I think he got 3rd.
Okay.
So that was pretty good.
Yep.
Cantrell, I thought I had a really good showing last night.
Yeah, and of all the tracks that I definitely didn't think he would even get in the top 10. He does not ride sand. He's a fucking Southern California kid. He rides Blue Groove.
Yes, in fact, he was up front. I was like, really?
Well, he's been riding, because he trains with Tyler Rattray, he's been riding at the Baker Compound and stuff with all the Husky guys. So, I mean, he had some testing time, but it is surprising. That was not one of the tracks I thought he would do that well at.
All right. Let's talk about my boy here.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go.
I mean...
What do you got to say, man?
Well, he won the heat, so that was cool.
Yep.
Then he gets in the main. And this is where our opinions differ a little bit here. Because I think if he doesn't get... And don't get me wrong, there wasn't anything wild that happened on the start. Fortner got the jump on him and just elbowed him over. Fine. I have no problem with that start. He just got a shitty jump and got buried. That's fine. 22nd through the first corner there, basically. And then comes all the way back to 4th place. And man, had he not pushed through that sand berm, we were going to have another Vegas incident.
Well, that'd have been a little crazy if we have a Vegas incident because Zacho just goes going down the straight.
Well,
I know what you're saying. No, I'm joking. I know what you're saying.
Well, no, because they had the one right-hander.
Yeah, they right-handed before the on-off.
They had two right-handers, so if he doesn't push in that left sand, I think he closes up coming out of that next right-hander, and by the time they get to the right-hander before the front straightaway.
And I think at that point, they're drag racing down the rhythm section because you know Fortner ain't gonna, like, I don't care how tired he is.
Yeah, actually, and I think Zach actually probably would have got him without even T-boning him. But I think the way that the season's going between those two, there would have been some issues.
Probably.
I think. That was a hell of a ride by him, though. And he was fast. You got to figure, most of that race, he was like 2 or 3 seconds a lap faster.
Well, because I knew we were going to talk about this, I looked at the average lap time and then compared to the fastest. The average lap time, he had the fastest average lap time at like 1:14.2, and I think the second closest average lap time was like a 1:14.5. So he had the fastest average lap time, but he was only 4th fastest out of the Fortner. It went Fortner, Smith, J. Mart, and then him. But
there was a point there where he went like 2 or 3 laps in a row because they were calling on the TV of like, oh, he went a 1:13.9 and everyone else, the closest was like a 1:14.7 or something in front of him. So he had like a bunch of laps there where he was clearly faster.
He rode great.
Yeah, but it was just, the race just wasn't long enough, and being buried in the start like that just didn't help him. So, but I'm still, and again, this is where our opinions differ, I'm still convinced he gets a top 10 start, he wins that race, hands down.
Well, and see, and this is where we differ, and I'm not taking anything away from Zacho. Everybody knows who watches this show, I'm not a Zacho fan, but I've never said anything about his heart. Everything he's been through, going through Europe, all the stuff he's been through, he has the heart, you know, I know we say heart of a lion.
This is what I need, is a bottle with a haterade label for when you start talking about him.
So, I mean, anytime we talk about J. Martin Savacci, you have 2 of them?
Yes.
Okay. But I've never said anything bad about the dude. He does not give up. I've never said anything about that. The reason why I don't agree with what you're saying is because yes, he was buried. He was second to lap. I don't know if he was 22nd. I think he was 21st because I think you could say it's all.
Yeah, whoever it was like 471.
Yeah, it was like Cargo. It was like, so yeah, 22nd, 21st, whatever. The reason why I don't think that it would have been a difference is I don't think he was as impressive as Eli's because his happened on the start where, yes, it was farther away, but he still had the leaders within a start straight. When Eli's happened, everybody was already starting to gap a little bit and get a little bit more bunched up. And also, Zacho, let's be honest, the guys that he passed, hell, he got to the top 5, we know he's 3 seconds a lap faster than them. Yeah. Now, it's also coulda, woulda, shoulda, but like I mentioned to you last night, his lap times would indicate he would, but it's also a different mindset if he gets out front. He's not pushing as hard. Yes, he's sprinting, try to get a gap and then settle in, but man, I don't know, because when he got into 4th, there was what, like 4.5, 5 minutes to go, and I think it was like 11 seconds to him and Smith and Martin, and then like, I don't know, like 5 to Fortner, and then he got it down to 2.8 and came back out. And I won't dispute that I think that he probably would have got Fortner, because we'll get into it in a second, but Fortner was laboring. But I'm not so sure that he wins if he gets a start. I think, because even in the heat race, RJ, before he went down, was at only 2 seconds. Like, RJ was keeping him honest. Zacho was without a doubt consistently the fastest guy last night, but I think it's just easy to say because of his lap times. But we've seen guys that can come through the pack, and the one that comes to mind, and I know we talk about him too much, is Ryan Dungey. Ryan Dungey comes through the pack, but when he gets out front, it doesn't necessarily mean he wins. I just think that we think that. It's hard to tell with a track like Daytona, because who says that he gets out front and he's not in the mindset, and then he gets out of a groove because he's not pushing, where he had, hey man, I gotta get to the front because Fortner's out there, I can't let these points slip away. So great ride, hats off to Zacho, dude, he killed it. Like, that was impressive. I'm not taking anything away. That was great, because when I saw him down in the first turn, I kind of chuckled a little bit and I go, dude, he's going to be lucky to get top 5. The guys that were in the top 5 at that time, because Martin was in 4th at that time, I'm thinking there's no way he gets to the top 5. And then he's just closing and closing like, you know, he's just hunting his prey. And then he got into 4th and it just kind of stalled out. But he did what he needed to do. They're tied going into St. Louis.
Yeah. So, and the other tie on the points leader, Fortner, who honestly, I was going to say, he had a subpar night at best. Because when Zach was down the first corner and he is in 3rd or 4th, whatever it was, I was like, ooh, here we go. Like, he's about to make a couple quick moves by J. Martin Smith, and he's going to be gone.
You thought he was going to gap?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I really did. I thought he was going to do really, really well last night, and when he didn't do anything but just kind of settle in, and then Cantrell on like the second or third lap got him back, and they had to repass him. I was like,
I wonder what happened there too. I wish they would have caught that.
Yeah, so that was a very unimpressive evening for me with Forkner there. I expected a lot more out of him.
Well, and he looked pretty pissed on the podium. I think it was one of those things, and you know, the track as gnarly as it was really easy to just get sucked into one line because it was so gnarly if you got out of it. And also, he wasn't doing that quad into the corner consistently before the long set of whoops on the far side. So that was definitely hurting him as hard as he had to check up going in, you know, not launching into the berm. I think it just happened is I think he just, because this is his first Daytona, you would think with these guys, as long as they've been doing it, but don't let it fool you. When you go to Daytona, it's like A1. It's overwhelming sometimes. You're like, oh my God, I'm racing Daytona. You know, so I think what happened is, and he even alluded to it a little bit, he wanted to try to get into a groove early, so he was trying to sprint, get his heart rate up, get the blood pumping, and then I think once he stalled out when he got into third, I think it screwed him a little bit, and I think his wrist injury that he had affected him, because, dude, like, there was a lot of times where he didn't look like he was going forward at all. It stayed consistent to him and J-Mart, but, like, what? It was at, like, 5.5 seconds between him and Smith for, what, 7 laps?
Yeah.
Like, I think it was one of those things that maybe he just got into his mind. He's like, hey, man, unless these guys make a mistake, I just need to get out of here. Which I think for a lot of guys, when they come to Daytona, that's their mindset to begin with. Like, I just want to get out of here without an injury.
Yep. So, and then, I mean, J-Mart and Smith won too. Smith looked okay all day. J-Mart was obviously the favorite for most people going in as, hey, he's going to win. J-Mart, again, was, in my mind, unimpressive because as good as J-Mart's been here before and as good as we all thought he was going to do, he didn't do much. I mean, he started and he finished in second.
Is it one of those things, though, that, and I definitely agree with everything because we both picked him. Is it one of those things where J-Mart was unimpressive or just Jordan was riding that good? I think we get in a tendency with everybody in the industry, we do that. We're like, oh, the favorite, he doesn't win. And then the guy that beats him, well, you know, it was just he was having problems. Now I'm telling you, I know we didn't see a lot of him, but Jordan rode good the whole entire day. Like practice, Fortner would go to the top, Jordan would go to the top. Zach would go to the top, Fortner would drop it a lap later. Led his heat race, led all the I mean, dude, I think it was just one of those things that, not saying J-Mart didn't live up to the hype, but I think Jordan just was on it the whole time. I think this is finally the Jordan Smith that we expected to do well. And I'll say it again, like before when we were watching it, he's only 8 points back, man. I know that we think that this is going to come down to Zacho and Fortner, but this is the same thing that happened last year. Jordan just quietly has a couple good rounds, stays in it, and then boom, like he's right in the points. And man, like I know that 8 points seems crazy when these guys like Fortner and Zacho haven't been out of the top 5 for 4 rounds now. But dude, like Jordan, I think, is one of those guys that I don't know if you can give a lot of confidence to because he has proven that he has the speed to win on any given basis or every given night. And, man, if I'm those guys, I know that they're wrapped up in each other. But that's the thing. Maybe that plays into Jordan's favor.
Yeah.
Fortner and Zacho are so worried about each other that Jordan's just sneakily getting in there and getting a win.
Yeah, well, like we talked about before we started rolling, quietly good.
Yes.
You know, so, and yeah, and like you said, here we are now. He's 8 points out. So if he gets a win next week, all of a sudden now he's 5 out, and we got ourselves a real battle.
And that's honestly, and that's all basing on thinking that Fortner and Zacho were going to get one of them gets second or third.
Yeah.
Like who knows? I know that we think that, and with speed they should be if they're if they don't win. But man, it's a ticking time bomb with those two. And once again, and I know that we won't really go too much into it. The East-West Shootout, the first one is 2 weeks away, and we know how gnarly Indy gets. And are we in agreement that something crazy is going to happen at that race?
It's going to be wild.
So, I mean,
watch it.
Dude, I'm not going to say Jordan is going to win that race, but if say Jordan goes out and gets second and something happens with Fortner and Zacho and they don't get top 5, like, dude, you could be Jordan Smith and having the same situation as last year going into Vegas as the points leader. So, I mean, it's crazy that he's only 8 points back with how bad the first 2 races went for him.
It is. It really is. So, God, that was a lot.
That was.
Anything else for the 250s before we wrap this up?
I just winners for next week.
Okay, who you got?
I'm actually going to stick with Jordan Smith. I believe in him. He was my title pick, and I think that I know that when we talk about outdoors, we go, oh, these guys favor the track, so it doesn't really work that, but it's the atmosphere. He won St. Louis last year. He's going in, this is the 2nd straight year he's going in with a win because he won at Detroit last year. Man, I think he keeps the ball rolling, and I think that I do agree with what you just said. I think he goes in, and he's 5 points ahead of one. He's 5 points down from either Zacho or Fortner. I think he goes in, I think in his mindset, and he even said it. There's no way I thought I was going to win Daytona. And I think that he just keeps his ball rolling, and he gets more and more parity in this class, man. And as for the 450s, you know, I don't think Marvin gets another win this year. I was standing by it, and I think that it just finally clicked on me when I was driving over here. Marvin just isn't the same guy last year that we seen where he was just consistent all the way through. This is arguably, you could say 3 weekends in a row right now that he threw a race one away. So I think Ando and Eli have a great battle, and I think Ando rebounds after how badly he did last night. I think Ando wins it. I think I'll go Ando and Smith.
All right.
Who you got?
I think Eli and Zach are going to win.
The Eli thing I can understand. Where's the Zacho thing coming from, though?
That's my boy. And I don't really have any hard evidence to believe that he doesn't stand a fairly decent chance, so...
Oh, well, yeah.
So that's why I'm just gonna go with the easy route out of it. You know, that's my boy. I'm driving the Zacho whoop whoop train, you know, we're rolling.
Okay. So
I think he's gonna be in the same spot that Ando is from this week. He's frustrated of how Daytona went, and he's going to come out to show him, hey, I'm still the big bad wolf, and I'm going to win. Because he hasn't won, like you said, he's gone 3 weeks in a row now, he hasn't won. So that's where I go with that, and I think Eli's just going to be good in St. Louis.
Okay, so I guess with the 450s, there's not really much in the points. With 250s is the only thing. Do you, and I know we talked about with the Carmichael thing, do you think there's any validity to that, though, that if Fortner gets another win on Zacho and Zacho struggles, that maybe finally Zacho cracks a little bit?
I think if Zach gets a win next week in St. Louis here, okay, obviously takes the points lead back at that point.
Yeah, so maybe
two. And maybe Fortner wins the next week or something. I don't think that it plays mind games. I think, like Ricky said last night, if Fortner wins last night and beats Zach straight up, not Zach goes down in the first corner, gets pinched off in the first corner and starts basically last, but I think if Fortner beats him straight up, again, 3 in a row there like that then yes, it starts playing some mind games in his head of like, crap, do I have this kid covered, or has he got me covered, or what? But now I don't think that's an issue because it didn't happen.
What do you think, though, if Fortner, and this is all hypothetical, if Fortner covers him in St. Louis and then Zacho has problems in Indy? Because then we're talking about the pro circuit thing, and I know this is projecting way far ahead, but since this is kind of like a storyline that we have going, because Zacho wasn't used to this last year, if Fortner wins at St. Louis straight up, where he has Zacho covered like he did in Tampa, and then they go to Indy and stuff happens, even if it happens to Fortner, but Fortner's still the points leader, I have to believe at that point. Now, I think if Fortner wins in St. Louis, then whatever. You know, if Zacho paces him the whole time, it's not that big of a deal. But I think if they go 2 weekends in a row and then they get to Indy and there's problems, I think Zacho's starting to realize maybe I don't have this kid covered. Because at this point, I don't really know if we know who's faster.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Where last year we knew Zacho was the fastest guy.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's playing mind games yet because of the way last night went. And like I said, I think it would take a lot in a row to go wrong for Zach and right, or you know, even a normal night for Zach and an even better night for Fortner before it gets in his head.
We just know that this isn't like last year where that Zacho, as long as he stays on 2 wheels, is going to win.
Yes.
Where last year we knew that there was probably nobody who was going to beat him. This year we have a good case that no matter what happens, this is going to go down to Vegas.
Yes.
So that's a good thing.
So, all right, cool. Well, that's been another episode of Moto Aftermath Show presented by TLR Coatings. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, especially about your thoughts on the Tomac Coupe battle. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Click those Amazon links. Donate on Patreon. Buy a t-shirt on Teespring. We are out. We will see you guys on Thursday for the St. Louis preview show.